to share a fascinating story about mind and mental health. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, I started having persistent thoughts. I started to worry about, I would have a thought like, you didn't flush the toilet. You left you left the water faucet on. You left the kitchen sink water on. It was always related to water, actually, somehow, for me. But when you're 7 or 8 years old, you don't know why you're having those thoughts. It was creating fear and a little bit of panic in me, to a point where I'm not even sure my parents are aware of this, but I would go back to the places, I would go back to the bathroom and check 3 or 4 times to see if I had flushed the toilet, or if I had turned off the water, or just any number of things. And I remember thinking, even as a 7 or 8 year old, like, why do I've already checked it. Why do I have to keep checking it? Why am I still having this thought? Why am I so afraid? I mean, I was really struck with a lot of fear. So I remember one day, I heard that little whisper, that thought come into my mind. You better go check that. You better. And I stood up to it. I don't know what told me, what prompted me as an 8-year-old to know to do this. I didn't know that I should do this. But I did. I stood up to that voice, and I remember having that thought and going, no, I'm not checking that. I've already flushed the toilet. I've already checked the water. It's fine. And I remember actually standing up to that internal voice. I'm so thankful that in that moment, I don't know if it was God putting that thought in my mind to say no to that internal voice, or what it was, but I stood up to that voice that day as an 8-year-old. And those little whisperings, or those little thoughts that I was having, not audible voices, but just obsessive and compulsive, causing these behaviors, began to get quieter. And I remember that it was just that split second of deciding, I'm not going to listen to that voice. It's lying to me. It's fake news. It's fake news. And from that point on, I didn't have any more issue with that. But what's made me think about, years later, is like, wow, that was the beginning of what could have been a very dark, detrimental pathway down OCD. I really think it was the beginnings of OCD. And because, for some reason, just standing up to it, it really helped. And verbally saying, no, I'm not going to agree with that anymore. So if you've ever had those kind of thoughts, I just thought I'd share that story with you, because, sometimes it can be just really helpful for you. Or if you have a child that's dealing with some of those same kind of things, that might be a great, just a tip that can help you.